fuck did I do that? I'm okay, Ryder. No, it's not 19. That's and today's supposed to be the 22nd. That means I've been asleep for 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 days. 13 days. Oh fuck. That means the videos that are supposed to come out when I upload, like when I don't upload for too long. Oh no, dude. No. Does that mean no, not the video. No. Those two are fine. No, the Among Us video. Oh no. Well, now I really have to start focusing on the Beatles.
Well, what did it do to you? You seem to be in a...
They were just like 4 boys. I really liked them. They were good. They were great guys. It didn't really hit me. And then these people standing there singing, and I don't know what they do. They just change you. They're not what they used to be. They're just so much better. And then everyone starts, they're just like a myth for you. It's what they seem like. Every little movement's for you and no one else. It seems so personal, but yeah, it's just for everybody.
We were 4 guys that I met Paul, said, do you want to join the band? Well, and then George joined, and then Ringo joined. We were just a band who made it very, very big, that's all.
Richard Starkley was born in Dingle, United Kingdom, on July 7, 1940. 6 years later, Richard developed appendicitis, and shortly afterwards, peritonitis, causing him to fall in a coma for several days. After the next year in recovery, instead of going to school after his discharge in May of 1948, the 8-year-old Richard stayed home. And without the proper education, he remained illiterate and had poor grasp of mathematics. But with twice weekly lessons over the next few years, Richard was able to recover academically. Unfortunately, Richard once again was sent to a sanatorium after contracting tuberculosis. While recovering, the medical staff created a hospital band for the patients in an effort to relieve boredom and stimulate motor activity. This was young Richard's first exposure to percussion instruments, with this mallet made from cotton bobbin that he used to hit his cabinets near his bed. This gave Richard a strong interest in drumming, such a strong passion that nothing else could surpass. Richard would deny any other instruments given to him from family. He only liked the drums. The same 15-year-old Richard would join the workforce, and while incredibly demotivated and uninfluenced at his first job at British Rail, then as a boat waiter, then as an apprentice machinist at Henry Hunt & Son. At his last job, however, this is where he met and befriended Roy Trafford. The two bonded over their interest in music, with Trafford as a guitarist and Richard on drums. This is when Trafford introduced Richard to the music genres of skiffle, to which Richard admired deeply. The two in between lunch breaks would rehearse in the manufacturing plant's cellar during lunch breaks. With whatever Richard had, he would play. From his time in 1956 to 1960, Richard would go into and out of multiple bands, eventually in 1957 getting his first official drum set from the Eddie Miles Band, renamed shortly to Eddie Clayton and the Clayton Squares, to then Rory Storm and the Hurricanes, where Richard would adopt a stage name based on the rings he wore, and an abbreviation of his last name, Richard would adopt the name. On October 9, 1940, John Winston Lennon was born to the couple of Alfred and Julia Lennon, named after his grandfather, of the same name, and the Prime Minister, Winston Churchill. As Alfred was away from home most of the time, he would still send regular paychecks to his wife and son. The checks stopped when Alfred went absent without leave for 6 months in February of 1944. When he came home, he offered to Julia to take care of the family, but Julia was already pregnant with another man's child. After Julia's sister Mimi complained to the Liverpool Social Service twice, Julia handed over the custody of John to Mimi, where, for the most part, John lived his childhood and adolescence with. With Mimi and her husband George, they raised the boy, never having their own children. Julia visited John often, buying crossword puzzles, a mouth organ, and teaching the boy the banjo, and exposing John to Elvis Presley records. John grew up as a troublemaker, with a musical interest and talent. This was reflected in his school life. The raised Anglican boy attended Dovedale Primary School, and later, Quarry Bank High School, where he was remarked as an easygoing class clown, but also embarked in fights, bullying, and distracting the class. While his behavior in school created a rift between his aunt, however, worse family issues would soon come, as John's mother Julia would be struck and killed by a car. This event would cause serious damage to John's mental health throughout the years. Before her death, when Julia bought John his first guitar in 1956, John was shortly afterwards inspired to form a band named after his school's anthem, the Quarrymen, a skiffle band. The members consisted of Eric Griffins, Pete Shotton, Bill Smith, and John Lennon himself. And on their very second performance, on June 18, 1942, James Paul McCartney was born, going by Paul as for his family to differentiate him to his father, a trumpet player. Growing up, Paul attended Stockwood Road Primary School. With Paul's interest in music, likes of his father, he compiled skill over the years. Paul eventually transferred to Joseph Willans Junior School due to overcrowding, and eventually at the Liverpool Institute in 1954, from being one of 3 to pass the 11+ exams. The 12-year-old McCartney then met a schoolmate, who he tended to talk down to for being younger. In October of 1956, tragedy struck as Paul's mother Mary died from embolism complications of breast cancer surgery, and while the struggle was difficult, he pulled through. Throughout the years, Paul gained talents from choir at St. Barnabas Church, a trumpet from his father, an acoustic guitar he got from trading the trumpet since he wanted to sing while playing. He also modified the guitar to play left-handed, due to him finding it hard to play right-handed. McCartney wrote songs in his free time, composed melodies, but he wanted something more. Then one day, Paul saw the... On February 25th, 1943, George Harrison was born in Liverpool, England. As the youngest of 4 children, he lived the most healthy life, growing up a normal life with an interest in music, enlisting from Dovedale Primary School to Liverpool Institute High School, where George was disappointed for the music courses and their lack of guitars. He grew up with an interest in rock and roll, and later bought a guitar from a friend with his, Raymond Hughes. At the age of 14, in 1957, after learning how to play, George formed a skiffle group, the Rebels, with his brother Peter and friend Arthur Kelly. Around this time on the bus, George met someone who would later become a friend of his, that being Paul McCartney. The two bonded over their shared interest in music. Paul later went and saw the Quarrymen, and after enjoying the band, he went to meet them in a friendly encounter, where the lead man, John, was very impressed with Paul's guitar performance of 20 Flight Rock, so much that he was asked to join the band. Paul accepted, and later enough, he tried to convince his childhood friend George to join because of his own musical talent. John was initially very hesitant due to George's age of only 15, but he eventually let him join as the lead guitarist after his solo on the instrumental track Raunchy on the upper deck of a Liverpool bus. As the Quarrymen moved closer to a rock and roll band, the other members soon left, mainly to pursue more of the arts. This left only John, Paul, and George. The three continued to perform in various clubs around Europe, specifically Germany and England. More specifically, the band performed via multiple residencies in mainly Hamburg and Liverpool. Not Liverpool, as they lived there. They very early on performed in Hamburg in clubs such as the Indra Club, Kaiserkeller, the Top 10 Club, and the Star Club. And most famously, they performed at the Cavern Club in Liverpool. The experiences from clubs to clubs were varied, but they improved the band's skill immensely. In 1960, the group moved on from the Quarrymen title after John's childhood friend and a new band member, Stuart Sutcliffe, bought a guitar after selling one of his paintings, and convinced the band that they should be named the Beatles, as a tribute to Buddy Holly and the Crickets. Around this time, the band, in a desperate need of a drummer, recruited Pete Best. The band performed in multiple venues, gaining experience and skill. Unfortunately, Stuart would leave the band to pursue arts in the middle of 1961, and by 1962, Stuart Sutcliffe would pass away due to a cerebral hemorrhage. A record store owner named Brian Epstein saw the band perform live. Seeing the potential they possessed, he tried and eventually succeeded in becoming the group's manager. He worked trying to free them of their previous contracts and to get them signed to Decca Records. This failed, as they rejected the band because guitar groups are on the way out. Luckily, by July of 1962, Brian got them signed to EMI, specifically Parlophone Records. This is where they met George Martin, the producer. Around the time of Stewart's passing, Pete Best would be kicked out of the band due to his unliked drumming via members at EMI and the band itself. Pete was replaced by the band's more favorited member, who had previously filled in for Pete in several cases, Ringo Starr. He was asked to join while still in Rory and the Hurricanes, and later joined after breaking his contract. So by the date of August 18th, 1962, became the first official start of
from New York, the Ed Sullivan Show.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Beatles.